Hey, what's up, everybody in YouTube land? Welcome to this week's discussion video. And I think that I'm going to actually start doing not necessarily like a news review, but like a news discussion video every week. As I've been reading the news for the past couple of weeks, I've been having a lot of questions and things that have been coming up that I think are interesting, like just kind of talking points. And so sometimes I'll invite some friends along, and sometimes I'll just kind of talk about them myself as I have questions and ideas to think about. And today I am joined by a very special friend of mine, Jay, and I'm going to let him introduce himself here for us. Jay, go ahead.
Hey everybody, I'm Jay. Yeah, that's it, really.
Cool. Well, welcome to our discussions, Jay. And one of the just go ahead and let you know the reason I wanted to bring Jay in on this discussion is that Jay is coming at the game from a kind of a unique perspective. He played the game when it first came out. He and I both played it together, and then he took a little break from the game, and now he has come back to the game. And so he's got some just kind of an interesting perspective as he's trying to kind of jump back in and learn a lot and like kind of experience things in the game. So that's kind of why I wanted him here for today. What I'd like to do is also throw out here there for you this music that you're listening to right now is Jay put that together for me, and so he's been really helpful in helping me create well, he did all the work. He created it, the stuff that we're listening to, and he's put some other songs as well that I've used in various videos, so thank you so much for that. What I wanted to do today is talk a little bit about this letter from the operations team. So if you opened up the news today, you would have gotten this message from the FFBE operations team. I don't want to read it in its entirety, but I want to kind of touch on a couple of details about it, and then we've got some questions that I'm going to talk about with Jay as well. So it talks about they're appreciating our feedback, and lately they've been getting a lot of feedback from us, in particular about the Xenogears collaboration. They are aware that we had some frustration with the difficulty of acquiring fragments that you use to upgrade your units to the various EX levels. They say they did that for balance here, and that they have also skipped out on some unit upgrades, and so they're admitting that there's some concerns that we have about that. Their justification for that has to do with they've been prioritizing Clash of Wills. Now, Clash of Wills, of course, is global content, so it does take a dedicated team, I'm sure, to create that just for us. And so as a result, they've taken some priority away from upgrading and awakening units that maybe we could have missed out on, or that we're missing out on. They say that one that we've in particular been waiting for, Medina, is planned for April. And there are some other implementations that they're discussing. They're just asking us to be patient on it. The other one they bring up has to do with Faye, because they did promise or announce in the announcement video for the Xenogears collaboration that we were going to get Faye to EX+1. Initially, they didn't give us the fragments, but then they did give us the fragments, and so they're saying, hey, make sure you collect those. And then additionally, to make up for it, we're giving you this player appreciation tickets that you can use to summon a bunch of units for free to celebrate the coming of Neovision's Esther. And so that's kind of the gist of the note. And so I'm gonna go ahead and leave this here. Maybe we'll talk about it as we go. But I'm gonna pop some questions up on the screen that Jay and I are going to talk about. So this first question that I had, so Jay, for you as somebody who's been gone for a while and you come back, you've been playing, I think, since the Chow the Chow Clash of Wills event. How does this letter, as I'm kind of talking through it, and I know you've got it there, like how does this read to you when you see something like this?
So it's kind of a double-edged sword, I think, here. I mean, I think on the one hand, they probably are genuinely apologetic about some of these points. But also in a lot of ways, it feels like they're kind of just trying to cover themselves. And it's, I don't know. I mean, it's not like, to me, it's not like doom and gloom enough to think like, oh man, this is so bad, we need to like abandon ship or anything. It's kind of just mildly concerning on the top level, just because obviously they're saying they forgot / had to delay all this stuff, and we're really sorry, but in a lot of the stuff they're not really doing anything about.
Yeah.
Like, for example, I mean, I guess they didn't. Well, so like for example, with the whole Kine and Rydia release, like that was supposed to normally match up with the jump mechanic redo, from what I understand, and they don't really address that specifically, but it's maybe sort of implied. But they haven't said like, yeah, we're sorry that we released this new cool jump character without his enhanced mechanics, but they just kind of were like, sorry.
Yeah, and they have talked a little bit about how some of that stuff's going to come later on in other like releases and on like the news for those unit banners. But I agree, it's just like yeah, it's there and we're discussing it, but who knows how long that's going to take, right? Like, so they were discussing giving us Medina a long time ago, and that's something you don't have awareness of because you weren't around watching the news, when you weren't around when that first came out. But like, we've been waiting for Medina for a long time, and at this point, I think if they release Medina in April, her being, I guess that'll be 8 months late. At that point, she's not going to be relevant unless they completely, buff her out of the water. Just as an opinion on that. So, but they're not even saying, yeah, we're going to release her later, and she's going to be buffed to be current, and it's going to be useful to you, and whatever. So I agree with you there. Oh, go ahead.
I was just going to say, I mean, even back when I played before, that wasn't even. I mean, that was even a thing they would do from time to time back then. Like periodically on Global, they would release a unit kind of later than usual. And I remember you and me having discussions, talking about should we pull for this character or whatever. And, you follow the JP side of things a lot more. I pretty much just would always rely on you to give me information about that. But you would say things like, yeah, I mean, the unit, when it came out in JP, it was like top tier because it was, at this point in the game. And now they're releasing it in Global so delayed that really it's not all that useful. So this unfortunately isn't like anything super new, and at least in the past, for the most part, I mean, I think there were a few units that they did release late and they would buff them up, but generally speaking, they just kind of released them as is for the most part.
Yeah, like, so when they'll put out a banner news update, it'll say like global update or global upgrade or something like that, and that's usually their sign that they're improving the unit to make it relevant for us. Kine and Rydia did not have that, so I think that's an issue that especially with them acknowledging, yeah, these are late. If they don't include those upgrades, like, what does that mean? So I think the big issue has to do with like them not making the fragments available, and like you came in on a really good moment, like with Chow. You saw it, like you could pull for Chow and you could get those tokens, and you could trade those tokens in for fragments to upgrade Chow right away. Like, not being able to do that for Kine and Rydia, for any of the Xenogears units, and I'm fearful like future units, not even Esther. Esther's a different boat because she's a premium unit, but like I'm fearful that they're not going to include those fragments in the name of balance, quote unquote. And like, so when you think about like how hard it is, you've had this experience where you've pulled a Neovision's unit and you've asked me like, is this a good unit? And I'm like, yeah, but you got to get their EX+1 and you don't have the ability to get the fragments. So like, when you think about how hard it is to get the fragments, then how does that make you feel about where this game, could be headed? The nature of the game, I guess.
Yeah, and I mean that is definitely concerning, especially as a new player, or like not a new player coming in again. I remember back in the day when rainbows were kind of like the big thing, and you needed to get X amount of rainbows of the same unit in order to kind of like guarantee their trust master and or eventually their super trust master, and so on. And with Neovision's units, I feel like you need like even more copies, especially if you're not getting shards. Because if you're not getting shards, you get what, 25 a piece?
For real Neos, you get 50 a piece.
50.
For the Awakenings, you get 25 per copy.
Right. So you need what, 6 copies to get to EX3?
I sent you a chart once. I think it's 8. So because
8.
Because you get the 1 copy and then 1 to get the EX1. 2 more is 4. And then and then 4 more. If assuming you don't have the ability to get any fragments any other way, it's 8 copies.
Right. So, and when you consider like the drop rate, it's tiny, and then the fact that even when you do get a Neovision's crystal, it's very low. The chance that you're going to get a duplicate of the guy that you're looking for, unless you're on a featured banner, and even then, it's still not like great. So yeah, if they don't give you any real way to get free fragments, and they don't even necessarily have to put it in the step ups, but if they're not going to do it in the step up, at least put it in the VIP store or something like that. But if you just have literally no opportunity, that's going to make it really tough. And
right, every banner basically becomes a premium banner without the premium price tag, if they go that route. And I mean, you saw when I pulled for Sephiroth, like I got 1 copy of Sephiroth and no shards available, so I still don't have EX plus 3 Sephiroth, and that was almost the day he came out. So it was like, I think that was about 8 months ago. So yeah, it takes a while. I've never gotten a duplicate copy of Sephiroth, so I'm still sitting here with EX plus 2.
Yeah, and the other thing too, if you get a character who's featured, okay, so first of all, you have to save up like anywhere from 32 to 60,000 lapis, which is like a ton, especially if you're out of content. And if you buy it, like the prices, this is a separate thing, but they really need to adjust the prices of lapis. Like when you need 60,000 lapis to guarantee you're going to pull a character, I mean, that's like hundreds of dollars. It's not worth it. But that aside, just the likelihood that you're going to draw that same character later on in an unfeatured banner is, ridiculously low.
Yeah.
And, fortunately they have the shard dungeon that offsets it a bit. But yeah, I don't know. And in a way, you kind of think, well, maybe it's for them, as a way to get money, so that way they'll guarantee you're going to buy lapis. But again, the lapis is so expensive. If you are going to try to do the step up guaranteed to get the unit, and it's 32 to 60,000 every time, I mean, I know there are whales out there, but I'm just looking at it and I'm like, well, for like $300, I could buy like 4, 5, 6 AAA titles. I'd rather do that than put it into a mobile game and have my unit become obsolete in a few, 6 to 8 months or whatever.
For sure. All right. Well, let's look at question number 2 then. So all of the sense that upgrades are delayed and skipped, by and large, comes from players who are aware of what the Japanese version of the game had. And so my question for you, as someone who does not follow JP, like, should that matter? Does that matter? And do you even care? So I'm going to give you an example. So with this most recent Final Fantasy IV event, they said in the event news, Barbarisha and Rubicante, their awakenings are going to be delayed. We're doing them, but they're going to be delayed for a while. And if you have not followed JP at all, if you have no idea that those units are there to be awakened, you might go, that's kind of weird that they would even comment on that. Like, so like, I don't know. Like, what are your thoughts there? Like, should what they have in JP matter to what we have? Because they're different games. We have Clash of Wills and they don't. So in that sense alone, they have their different games. We have the global exclusive units and they don't. Should what they have matter?
Okay, so I think the technical answer is no, it should not matter, because of exactly what you said. They're completely different games. We have different units, we have different content, different timelines on things. So I think really it shouldn't matter, but I do want to also still say it seems weird to me that there are these big delays when it comes to releasing content that's like that's small, that's not custom made, because the code, like, it theoretically already exists, in the JP version, there's code for Kain to have his jump in a particular way. So it doesn't seem like it'd be that hard to just copy paste, maybe because the code is written in a different language, that would make it tougher. I don't know. I'm not really a programmer, so I don't know. But it seems like that's something that someone could knock out in like an hour.
Well, and so there's this is like definitely a tinfoil hat thing. So like, we are supposed to get Neovision's Roberta, who's a Dragoon, and they said that they're going to be pushing out the jump update to March 17th. I would not be surprised if they push that out in order to align it with when Roberta comes out. So everyone is like, ooh, Roberta is out and she's going to get this, benefit from the big jump mechanic. Let's go buy Roberta. I would be able to like see that and like have it make sense in my mind. Like that is the intention there. But like, some stuff I think is copy and pastable and some stuff is not. So like Rubicante and Barbarisha in our version, Rubicante is a 4-star up to 5-star, up to 6-star, I think 4 to 6, maybe 4 to 5. And Barbarisha is 5 to 7. Their version is flipped. So in their version, Rubicante was a 5-star unit and Barbarisha was not. So that I think is a reason for why that could be happening in this specific instance. But in other instances, no, I don't think so. Like, we just there's just story events that we didn't get, and so we don't get the characters that go along with it, and that seems weird.
So why? I guess my thought would be, why do you think they would want to delay the jump stuff to when Roberta comes out rather than when Kine comes out? Because I feel like, I mean, don't get me wrong, like Final Fantasy Brave Exvius has some cool original characters, but most people play the game, at least initially, because they want to see their favorite characters. So what would be more hype than dropping down a cherished, favored classic character and also having the new jump upgrade? Like, what do you think is even the point of delaying it to Roberta? Especially because when you consider the fact that Kine is coming out, he's co-starring with Rydia, so that would mean people would, realistically have to dump more Lapis into wanting to get both of them or wanting to get one or the other, unless they're, doing the step up and whatever,
right?
Which I'm sure Roberta will have as well. But the only thing I could think is because it looks like they could be progressing to this new format and they're kind of trying to ease into it, so they didn't drop it with Kine, and they're gonna, by the time Roberta comes out, we're all used to the new format. But that's the only thing I can think of, because I know for me anyway, like I don't feel any love towards that particular character. I would rather have it be on Kine, and I wouldn't want to get Kine and know he's just going to sit on the shelf until the upgrade. You know what I'm saying?
I do. And there's lots of other like little upgrades. Like, so if I said to you, for example, hey, did you know that we'll soon be able to put vision cards on 7-star units? Like, that's kind of out of nowhere, right? Or like, if I said, Wildcard Ace got upgraded in JP, and we didn't get it, like that kind of comes out of nowhere. But the weird thing about that was we got Wildcard Ace's Chronicle weapon that upgraded his Chronicle weapon to kind of go along with his upgrades, but we missed him being upgraded. Same thing with a bunch of different units. We got Blue Mage Fina's sword before we got Blue Mage Fina upgraded all the way and all of her bonuses. And so like it's just the timing of it just gets really like chopped up and weird, and there's not really a whole lot of justification for why, other than now this kind of cryptic message of, oh, we're just balancing the game, or we're busy.
Yeah. The only real thing that's really coming to mind is maybe it's like they learned things from the JP version. Like, for example, maybe they this is just me coming up with something. It may not even be accurate, but like, for example, with Ace, maybe they realized that when they released the enhancements to Ace, it made him so good that like the next two banners that had kind of similar role units, they didn't pull on them because everyone already had Ace. Like, why bother with spending Lapis on new units when you've got a character who does that thing already because of the enhancement? So maybe they look at that data and then they go, we don't want to make that same mistake in global, so we're going to not give Ace that upgrade so that they'll pull on whatever other person.
Well, and Ace in particular, my understanding is that he wasn't upgraded to the point where he was replacing a Neovisions unit. He was just going to be usable for like current/relevant, content, in a way that he wasn't before his update. But yeah, I think that makes sense for sure. So then, knowing what you don't know or /don't know because of you not following it, like, does it bother you to know that like Ace got upgraded and we don't? Do you care?
So not really, except for like the things that just seem so obvious. Like the kind thing is kind of a big one because it just seems like it would have been so obvious. To if you're going to do the upgrade, just do it when you have the cool dragoon guy. But as far as like individual units being slightly different or have not getting things, or certain characters getting things that they don't get in the JP version, not really, because I do kind of recognize that the global version of the game is a different game. I mean, it has a lot of the same characters and content, but it also has a lot of different stuff. And I just kind of look at it almost like
yeah, I mean,
a remastered version of a a PC game versus the original release or whatever.
And they get collabs that we don't get. You know, we get collabs that they don't get. So like there's been stuff on both sides now. Some stuff has eventually kind of gone backwards and leaked their way back into their version, but like usually the units are different. So like a good example of that is that I think our version of Alina is different than their version of Alina, for example. So
as long as they don't get a Chrono Trigger collab and we don't get it, then I don't really care that much.
That might be the end, yeah. All right, so then
it'll never happen, but I would love to see a Chrono Trigger collab.
Yeah, for sure. You and everybody else get in line. So last one here. Do you think that the letter, as it exists here in the news, is enough to address the concerns that they raise in the note itself?
No. I think it's definitely, like I said, it's like an empty apology. It's just kind of like, I'm sorry that this happened, but look at these other things we did do that are really great. Remember when we messed up and we fixed that by giving you the shards we meant to give you anyway? Like that's, I mean, it's like a Toreador, holding the flag over here to pull the bull away, but the problem's really on the other side. So no, not really. I mean, again, it doesn't like bother me to the point where I'm like outraged. But I definitely see that it's just kind of yeah, we goofed up and here's all the concerns we have, but look at these things we did that are good.
Well, yeah, I think that, and I also think that it's like, okay, yeah, these are the concerns that we hear you saying, but we're saying, hey, there's a reason for it, but we're not really telling you what it is. Like there's a balanced reason for it, there's a justification for it, but we'll be just open enough to like say, yeah, you're right, there is an issue. Here's some tickets,
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm sure that ultimately the motivation for it is somehow money driven. Like I said, maybe they know about trends that happen in JP and they're not trying to repeat them in global or something like that. But yeah.
Well, I think though too, and I think this is fair, is that Japanese players are probably different from, I'm going to say global player just because we're all playing the global version of the game. But I think that like even, like North American players are probably different from like Western European players, are different from Canadian players, are different from, South African players. And so like, I think that plays a factor in it too.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Trying to like address all those different cultural communities and how they, what they're willing to pay for, what they're willing to play, how they're willing to play, what they're willing to do. Like it just, I think there's so much at stake there for like how they address it. And I think potentially the tickets are a nice compensation, a nice way of showing they appreciate us. I'm very skeptical of what it's going to be like, because the last time we got appreciated like this, it was like Yellow Ticket City. I mean, it was like, I think it was the same thing. I think I got 100 or 120 or something like that. And like out of all that, I think I maybe got one Neo Vision, which is, respectable. If the banner rate was like 1% Neo chance. And so it's like, if I got 1 out of 100, like that's pretty understandable. But I obviously wanted more. I would feel much more appreciated with a 3% rate or a 4% rate. I think these are 4% rate, or even maybe 3%, but hopefully it's better. And I have 150 this time. You said, I think you said you're going to be 120.
Yeah, that's what we figured out.
12 tickets. Yeah.
Yeah. 12 tickets.
Yeah.
Which again, so to answer the question on the screen, I don't think it's a good compensation, mostly because it's kind of like we messed up. Here's a bunch of free units. They're totally random, and you're probably not going to get all that much that's that great, but
here
you go.
I'm predicting 100 4-stars and like, you know, 20, maybe 20 rainbows, and well, that would be fantastic. I'm gonna say 130, 135 yellows, and then like a bunch of rainbows, and then one NV.
Yeah, yeah. Well, one thing I'll definitely say is I will take it for sure. But yeah, it's obviously just. I mean, the thing is none of it costs money to them. Like they could literally just be like, "Here's 120 unit of choice tickets," and you know, I don't know.
Which would be phenomenal. You know, that'd be super good for you. Like you could build some really good stuff with that.
So yeah, that's my thoughts. I don't think it's all doom and gloom, but I don't really worry too much about the discrepancies. It is a little concerning, just when you combine it with the way that they're seemingly doing these new step ups and not doing the shards and stuff. I think it's going to really push a lot of people kind of out of being able to get those units that they really want. And I know for me, it's also concerning because I'm gonna have to save up like tons and tons and tons of lapis to ensure that I can get a unit that's playable. And right now, since I came in, you know, when I played, there weren't Neovisions units. They had not even had 7-star units for like that long. I don't think. Maybe I can't remember.
I think they did.
But yeah, I already thought that was hard. Now the Neovision thing, you know, you got to get real lucky.
Yep. Speaking of, you know, Esther's coming out. I think we talked. I don't have enough lapis to pity a copy of Esther, so I'm probably not going to be pulling for Esther. Or where are you at? Are you interested in pulling for Esther?
I mean, in theory, yeah, she's really cool. I mean, she's basically, until I just got Faye to EX3 very recently, she was literally carrying me through all the stuff.
Yeah, just the 7-star Esther, not even the,
Yeah. So I like her a lot. I don't think I have the rabid fan base devotion to her like other people do. I honestly, I really only super like the actual Final Fantasy characters.
Yeah.
If they make a Neovisions like Gafgarian or Orlando, I might go for something like that. But
that
anyway.
would be nice. We haven't had a Final Fantasy Tactics event in a long time.
Yeah,
way too long. So
I still remember the first one.
Yeah. 300 pulls, 0 Orlando.
Yeah, and I got mine in like the first like 10+1 ticket.
Yep, I remember that. It was ridiculous. So good. All right. Well, that I think is going to be it for right now. So thanks so much for hanging out with me for a little bit and talking about this. Thursdays.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Yeah, of course. Thursday's new content night over on Twitch. So I'll be doing whatever comes out. Probably not doing Clash of Wills clears until I figure out what's going on, but definitely going to go through the story and any other new content that we get. That's at 9 p.m. Central Time on Thursday. So hopefully anybody who sees this wants to come over and say hello at that point. And like I said, I'm going to try and do some of these discussion, not necessarily just read the news, but like discussion commentary type stuff, kind of going forward probably on Tuesday nights. So stay tuned for that as well. And we'll see you in the next video. Take care.